Hey everyone, welcome back to Breadbox Racing and 4x4. This week, we're back on the Porsche. So, as I mentioned in my last video on this, there was a part I missed in the transmission. Little roller bearing. It sits on the selector shaft and it rides inside this collar. So I didn't have proper gear selection. What was happening is I had 1 through 6, but I was having to move the selector shaft a long ways to get there because of course it had a ton of slop there. And then eventually I tried for reverse and it jumped the pin outside of that collar. So then all of a sudden I had no gears, I had all neutrals. So I've got the little part here, I'm gonna go grab it, I've left it inside, and we're gonna get this thing put back together and properly this time. So this is the part in question. It is an 8mm IED by 20mm OD by 8mm thick roller, and it sits right in that collar. So I'm gonna be a little bit slower today, guys. I've got 2 broken ribs. Not looking for sympathy. It's just, that's the way it is. But we're still out here getting her done. So anyway, so here's the roller in question, and it sits right there. Just right on that shaft, right like that. And it was sitting in the parts washer, just right clear out in the open, easy to see. So without this roller, you have a ton of slop there and you can't actually select your gear. I've been trying to think how to get this little roller to stay on there while I assemble this thing. And I think I've come to the conclusion that assembly lube or grease is probably my best bet. Even with that, I'm pretty sure this is going to take me a few tries. So we're just using a 3M Scotch-Brite wheel. This one happens to be a roll lock one for easy use. And then we're going to be using a drum style one here. They're fine coarseness, so you're not actually taking aluminum off, because if you did, you'd have a bad time. It would never stop leaking, and worst case, things wouldn't line up. So you're going to see me use a zip tie on one of the selector shafts. That's just because it flops around, and with the zip tie on there it kind of holds it put so you can get it to go into its little slot. Otherwise you just fight with it. Alright guys, so we got the transmission back together. I've checked. Every gear works this time, including reverse. That's key. So we've got it together. I don't have any fluid in it yet. I'm gonna wait till it's in the car for that, because it's just less weight to heft around. So we're gonna get this put in the car. I'm gonna need a little help because of my ribs. So I'm gonna go find someone to help me with that. But hopefully we can have this back in the car and have the exhaust in there and see how it sounds today, which would be nice, because I'm eager to find out how it sounds and if I need to add an H-pipe. So, doing this with 2 broken ribs was a bad time. We got it done, but I've never been so determined and so frustrated at the same time. Circulate some of the oil through the transmission. Alright guys, so as you can see, we got the car back together, back on the ground, transmission's working, car starts up every time. For transmission fluid, normally I would use Motul Gear 300, but apparently there's a worldwide shortage on that right now. So, what I did is I used Redline MT90, 3 quarts of that, and then I think I used about a half, 3/4 of a quart of the lightweight shockproof, which is a heavier weight oil, which is why I didn't want to go that route. My understanding is that you kind of need that because the Gear 300 isn't really made for hypoid gears, which is what your differential is. And on a transaxle, that matters. So I went that route, but I would rather have the Gear 300 because I know it's okay for a hypoid gear. I've run it in differentials before and I've been very happy. Because that's what my FRS ran in the differential. That was the Gear 300 limited slip, but all that, the only difference is it has a different friction modifier. I digress. Oh, there is one more thing. There appears to be a aero panel on the underside. It's ahead of the one that sits under the transmission. It appears to be missing. So if anyone knows where I can find one other than eBay, don't ask. If anyone knows where I can find one, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I'm probably going to make one from either carbon fiber or with an air product. It's made from aluminum called Alumalite. I think that's what it's called. It's cardboard, 2 layers with a corrugation layer in between. But it's made from thin aluminum. It's strong and it's light. So, other than that, the Porsche is basically ready to go. So we're going to ease off on the content on this and switch back to the MG for probably the next couple months. And I'm going to try and get a video on the engine wiring harness for the LS powered Jeep, because I have to do some rewiring. I want to switch injectors and coil output pins at the ECU, so I don't have to have the harness come over the engine and back, because my ECU placement is passenger side firewall, whereas on the truck it was driver's side at the front. So I've got to switch some things around to clean that up. Then on the MG, I got to build the firewall and do the floor pans. So there's that, and then hopefully move into the rockers and stuff, but that might not happen for a couple months. Anyway, so that's where we're at with everything. Thanks for watching, guys. I can't wait to actually get some on-the-road videos for the Porsche, but unfortunately my yard currently has 4.5 feet of snow in it, so that's not going to happen for a little while, because I don't want to take it out there and have some, we'll say, inexperienced driver hit it and write it off like my little red car, my FRS. So that's where everything's at. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you on the next one.